They're at the top, at board level, in management, and at all stages of planning. They have middle management posts in production, buying, accounts and public relations. Below this, they work as skilled and semi-skilled operatives in the manufacture of durables and non-durables, and as workers on the maintenance of plant and the upkeep of premises. And the manufacturing and maintenance operations involved have several interesting peculiarities. Here are just a few. There's no set pattern for the utilisation of plant, and some of the machinery is used only rarely. Despite this, there's an increasing amount of mechanisation. But as operations do become more capital-intensive, there can never be any redundancy, and some labour-intensive areas will never be mechanised. Now this, for instance, is a yard brush, a primitive tool no housewife would be without. Hers, of course, is the employment category unaffected by the Equal Pay Act. The housewife is all the things that we've been talking about and is decidedly a special case. She is the special case of the female worker who doesn't only not receive equal pay, she receives no pay at all. Our test case is Mrs. Iris Gobin, middle class, mid-30s, a full-time mother of 2 children aged 8 and 11, with only a washing machine and a vacuum cleaner and an iron to help her in the house. No char, and only so much money a week to run the family. And Mrs. Gobin conducts her one-woman business in their semi-detached in Fulham. What is she worth compared with her counterpart in paid jobs? The Money Programme commissioned a special job evaluation on Mrs. Gobin to find out just what a housewife did for a living in industrial terms.
Starting in the morning, getting up 7:30.
Yes.
I supervise the children's dressing and washing.
Right.
Then I come down and prepare small breakfast, light breakfast.
What sort of breakfast would this be?
Well, usually a glass of
Mrs. Gobin's work was evaluated under 11 categories, such as nurse and cleaner and teacher, each carrying so many points. She earned a percentage of these points based on the time she spent doing each job.
Now, the 8th role that you play, Iris, is handyman. Can you tell me what you do under this activity?
I definitely do the electrical replacements. I can change plugs, etc. I do my stint in decorating.
Right.
I do heavy moving and carrying, moving furniture around and so forth. I wouldn't say it falls in a pattern for every day, because sometimes you can go for weeks without, sort of a fuse going or something.
Well, from evaluation systems used in industry, the consultants produced a special combined system, which was not only valid for the 11 jobs, but for the housewife as well. Using this, she was then compared directly with the 11. These were the points that Mrs. Gobin scored in each category. First, Mrs. Gobin as a nurse, looking after the family's cuts and bruises, aches and fevers. The nurse is worth 216 points for a full week. So Mrs. Gobin's average of 5.5 hours a week acting as a nurse earns her 14.2 points. In her capacity as a teacher to her 2 children, compared with 201 points for full-time, 14 hours of housewife time gets 33 points. In the less definable role as public relations girl, writing the family's social letters, impressing the husband's boss, being proud of the kids and making herself look pretty, out of 198 points for just over 3 hours' work, only 7.5 points. Low scores too with our Mrs. Gobin for planning. Out of a possible 168 points for working out the family's next move, less than an hour a week and 1.6 points. A busy buyer, even compared with her industrial counterpart, who rates 159 points, she's out shopping for 6.5 hours a week and gets 12 points. Bookkeeping. Now don't be fooled by the low score here. Mrs. Gobin pays all the bills and does the accounts and keeps within her budget in no time at all. So out of a possible 144 points for a mere half an hour's work only, 0.7. Now this is the big one. Almost a full week's work in the kitchen alone. A catering manageress merits 135 points. So for Mrs. Gobin's epic 31 hours, a much-deserved 49.1 points. Surprisingly high scores for do-it-yourself. That even includes mending the Hoover. The handyman tots up 129 points. So for an average of 2.5 hours with brushes and tools, 3.6 points. As a seamstress, mending and making for herself and the kids for a full week, she gets 123 points. But her average hours are 2.5, and that's 3.5 points. Then in keeping clothes clean, washing and ironing, it's all done at home. And out of the laundress's score of 93 points for around 7 hours as a washerwoman, there's 7.9. Finally, keeping the home in trim as a cleaner, whose tally is 87 points, there's a regular 11.5 hours a week, and Mrs. Gobin gets 11.9. At the end of all this, our housewife scored a total of 145 points. This puts her in the job hierarchy at about the level of a bookkeeper. That's in the middle of our job evaluation scale. Now let's remember that the hierarchy in this scale is arranged on a meritocratic basis, and in fact the actual salaries in some cases can be lower than their merit suggests. But on a points basis, let's compare Mrs. Gobin with her professional equivalent, the bookkeeper. He gets £26 a week for a 40-hour week. Mrs. Gobin does quite a chunk of overtime in her 85-hour week. And that 85-hour week is lower than the total amount of hours worked on all her 11 jobs, because as a housewife knows, sometimes you do 2 jobs at once. But on 85 hours, our consultant reckoned that she put in 40 hours at normal rate, 33 hours at time and a half, and 12 hours at double time. Now that equals an effective 113.5 paid hours. So using the bookkeeper's £26 a week as a basis, with all her overtime, Mrs. Gobin would earn £74 a week, and that means that her annual worth is £3,848. You may have noticed that in all these calculations, we have of course left out love and comfort and companionship. Well, these things are reckoned to be priceless, so to include the cost of their replacement would distort the economic profile.